Hi, I'm Jim W6LG, your YouTube Elmer. Welcome to my radio room here in Rockland, California. A quick story. As a kid, 17 years old, there was a guy near us, by us, a friend of mine and a friend of mine and me, who always beat us out in working DX. I don't care who it was, where it was. He worked DX around us, through us. It was, and we thought, what the heck? So, my parents were gone on a trip to Mexico as a guest of the government, and that's another story. They were gone, but the car wasn't. They had flown out of, I think, out of Burbank, and there was a 1965 Ford LTD in the driveway. So I called my buddy on the phone, who was younger than I was, and I drove to his house in North Hollywood, and with his mother's permission, and somehow she trusted me, we got into the car and drove to K6YRA's house, Al and Friedman. Because we wanted to see how this guy was always beating us out. So Al's house was on the corner, and we'd drive by several times, and there was a sort of rusted 40-foot TV tower, and I think it was a 3-element Yagi, and the elements were bent. It looks like it had fallen over at some point. We thought, what the heck? So it took some courage, but I'm not exactly shy. I knocked at the front door, and Alan answered the door and invited us in. And I've been friendly with Alan since that time, and that was 1967. And we went into his radio room, which was a room addition at the back of the house, and as I remember correctly, he took a couple of steps down, which was real typical for patios, concrete slabs that had been converted to living space. And in his radio room was really simple equipment. And we thought, well, it's got to have a big amplifier. It's got to be run power. Well, he wasn't. He had a single 4400. It was really neat because it had a window on the front. We could watch it turn red, and he lit it up for us, which was really nice. When we got there, he was in the middle of dinner, and he actually stopped dinner, invited us in, and couldn't have been nicer. And what he told us basically was that we needed to listen and listen and listen and listen and keep listening. And in doing so, we would figure it out, and that he was really good, Alan was really good at tuning the band. He'd listen for DX. He'd be the first one to find it. There were no DX clusters. There was no internet. And sometimes the way I would find him, he was relatively strong because we weren't that far apart, so I could kind of find him on my Hallicrafter's receiver because he was desensing the thing. So he would listen just incessantly for hours, looking for that weak signal, that new country, and he'd work just about everything. Funny thing was, he had two call signs. One was his brother's, and the other was his, and he would work with his brother's call sign first. So his brother was further up the honor roll than he was. But what we learned from him was to listen. And in doing so, for example, listening to a pilot, what is the DX station doing? What is his habit? Is he answering the strongest, the first strong signal he hears, or is he listening for the pilot to kind of thin out and picking out the weaker ones? And we could use that to our advantage, and we did. Eventually, we learned a lot from Al, and so his key was not the antenna with the bent elements or the rusted tower or the single 4400 that on a good day could run about 500-600 watts. It was his skill as a listener, and listening to what was going on, and listening to what the DX station was saying very carefully. If the DX station was saying, who's the zero, you stand by and wait, which you don't hear much today. I'm going to do some recordings, I think. Now I've got a new transceiver where I can record very easily and play those. And I'm going to play the guys that just call incessantly. Along those lines, some DX stations will do the following. You keep calling out a turn, that DX station is going to work you but not log you. They're going to work you but not log you. So you won't be in the log. You will have worked him because you just got in the way over and over again. But you're never going to get it confirmed from that guy. Back to Al. Nicest guy in the whole wide world. I'm still in contact with him. If you know Alan, you know he's just one of the superior operators. And again, it was all because of the way he listened, and that's what he told us about as we sat in his family room, and he sort of taught us how to work DX. I'm Jim, W6LG, in Rockland, California, saying thanks for listening and watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do that, and see you in the pilot 7-3.